The morning sun shone softly through the studio, windows of Today with Jenna and Friends casting a golden glow across the set. The audience was buzzing, chatting quietly as they waited for the live show to begin. The producers scurried around, adjusting cameras, cue cards, and microphones. Every detail mattered. This was a show built on warmth, humor, and celebrity charm. Backstage, Reba McEntire sat quietly, going over her notes. She looked composed, calm, and practiced, but there was a tension behind her eyes that didn't escape the observant crew. She had been on countless live shows, interviews, and panels over decades. Yet today, she felt something different, a tightness in her chest, a sense that this episode could spiral out of control. Her publicist leaned over. "You're going to be great. Just answer the questions and it'll be smooth." Reba nodded, sipping water. "I've done this before," she said softly, but there was a hint of apprehension in her voice. Across the set, Jenna and her co-hosts were finishing their pre-show routine. Jenna's smile was bright, but she whispered to her producer, "Let's keep it light today. No hard-hitting topics. I just want a fun, breezy conversation." The moment the theme music played, the audience erupted into applause. The hosts welcomed viewers, and then, with a flourish, Jenna announced, "Our guest today is the legendary Reba McEntire." Reba walked onto the set, her signature elegance and poise drawing immediate cheers. She waved, smiled warmly, and took her seat. The applause died down, replaced by a charged silence. This was the calm before the storm. The first few minutes were effortless. They talked about her latest album, upcoming performances, and charitable work. Reba's answers were thoughtful, her voice steady and melodic. Jenna asked lighthearted questions about Reba's life on tour and funny, behind-the-scenes stories. Everything seemed fine, until the conversation pivoted unexpectedly. "So, Reba," Jenna began, tilting her head with a sly smile, "you've had decades of fame. Some people say that celebrity can insulate you from criticism. How do you respond when people don't like what you do?" Reba's eyes narrowed slightly, though her tone remained polite. "I try to focus on the people I reach with my music and message. Not everyone will agree, and that's okay," Jenna pressed, a subtle edge creeping into her voice. "But when criticism comes from colleagues or the industry, doesn't it sting? Some might even call it hypocrisy. When stars advocate for others, while making questionable decisions behind the scenes." The audience murmured. A few eyebrows raised. Reba's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Hypocrisy?" she repeated softly, her voice calm but firm. "I think it's important to separate the art from gossip and speculation." Jenna leaned forward, eyes gleaming with curiosity and challenge. "But when you speak out on social issues, sometimes very publicly, some critics argue you're performing for the camera, rather than genuinely taking action. How do you address that?" Reba took a breath, the tension in the room thickening. "When people are hurting, the only thing that matters is helping them. If someone doubts my sincerity, that's their perspective. But it doesn't change the work I do." The studio felt smaller suddenly. The cheerful energy of the audience was replaced with an uneasy anticipation. Even the co-hosts glanced nervously at one another. The first sparks of conflict had appeared. Jenna's tone sharpened. "So you think fame makes you untouchable?" Reba's gaze held firm. "I think it gives you a responsibility to use your voice wisely, not carelessly. And I won't let anyone turn concern into criticism for the sake of drama." The room went silent. A producer whispered urgently in Jenna's ear. Whoopi, who was visiting as a guest correspondent, raised her hand slightly, sensing the tension. And then Jenna said something that lit the fuse. "Maybe you should just stick to singing." The words hung in the air like smoke, and the calm morning energy evaporated instantly. Reba's hand tightened on her microphone. She slowly rose from her chair, her poise intact, but her eyes burning with determination. The audience shifted uncomfortably, sensing that this was no ordinary disagreement. "That comment," Reba said, her voice steady but cutting, "is exactly why conversation matters, but only when it's grounded in respect." Jenna laughed lightly, almost dismissively. "Come on, Reba, don't get offended. It's just a joke." "It's not a joke," Reba replied, stepping closer to the table. "When you imply that my contributions are worth less than my visibility, it diminishes every effort I've made to uplift others, to speak for those without a voice." The co-hosts tried to intervene. "Okay, let's take a breath." But Reba didn't back down. No, I won't sit here and be belittled. If this is the tone of the conversation, then I'm not the guest you're looking for. A stunned hush fell over the audience. Cameras shifted nervously, trying to capture the drama without making the tension worse. The producers in the control room frantically gestured for a commercial break, but Reba's presence dominated the room. "You're trying to bait me into anger?" she said quietly, locking eyes with Jenna. "But I won't play that game." Jenna's expression hardened. "I'm just asking questions. Don't take everything so personally." "This isn't personal," Reba said. "It's about respect." And respect is not optional. The red lights above blinked as the director counted down to a break, but the air was electric. Reba's eyes scanned the audience one last time, taking in the shock and confusion. Then, with a composed but decisive step, she walked off the set. The audience gasped. Whispers filled the studio. Some clapped nervously. Cameras caught every second as she disappeared behind the curtain. Backstage, producers and crew were in a frenzy. Phones buzzed. Clips were already going viral. Social media erupted with speculation. "Reba storms off Today Show." Jenna crosses the line with celebrity clash. Jenna sat at the table stunned, trying to maintain composure. "She overreacted," she muttered, but her voice betrayed uncertainty. The director muttered, "That's going to be everywhere before lunch." And it was. Clips spread within minutes, slow-motion reactions, intense close-ups. The moment Reba's hand left the table and she exited, headlines ignited debates. Respect versus provocation? Celebrity clash of the decade. Who's right? Hours after the broadcast, the studio was quieter than usual. Reba was backstage, speaking calmly to her publicist. "I'm done with this environment. I won't compromise my integrity for ratings." Meanwhile, Jenna had to address the situation on air later that day, awkwardly trying to explain. "Yesterday's conversation escalated unexpectedly. We value all our guests and hope to move forward with respect in future episodes." Social media was ablaze. Some viewers supported Reba's stand, calling it a lesson in self-respect and boundaries. Others criticized her for leaving a live broadcast. News outlets dissected every word, analyzing the tension, tone, and body language. For Reba, the storm had passed, but the echoes remained. She released a short statement later that evening. "I love sharing my work and my story, but I will not accept disrespect. My focus remains on my music and the people I serve." Jenna and the team returned to the studio the following week, more cautious, more measured. The incident lingered in the air, a reminder of how a seemingly light-hearted interview could erupt into a powerful moment of suspense and confrontation. Reba's decision to walk off made headlines for weeks, reshaping conversations about celebrity interviews, respect, and the fine line between curiosity and provocation. And for those who witnessed it live, it was unforgettable. A morning that began with cheer and applause and ended with tension, integrity, and a dramatic exit that would be remembered for years to come.